What is freaking out? My name is Eve.
My name is Sarah.
And we are Burnt Out Perfectionists. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. Unless you're Garfield, because Garfield does not like Mondays.
It's currently Tuesday, because we decided we wanted to. So if you listen to last week's episode, whatever one.
So yeah, it would be last week's episode, yeah.
We talked all about summer, and preparations for the seasonal changes.
Mm-hmm.
And on this episode, we will be discussing
concussions. So just a friendly reminder that we are not in the medical field in the way of concussions. We will strictly speak to our experience and nothing more. And any advice or whatever that we give is, we're not professionals.
No.
Is that the best disclaimer we can come up with right now?
We're not medical professionals. Anything you hear in this podcast is not medical advice, nor any diagnosis or any legitimate tips. They're just things that we have found that has assisted us as well as our own experience.
Yes.
What has me thrive and survive over the past 24 hours?
Well, I fell asleep at 9 o'clock last night. Glorious. Had a lovely sleep. Survive is my fucking ass woke me up at 3:45 a.m.
Oh.
And by ass, I mean I farted and scared the shit out of myself and woke up. I literally woke up and then I was like, started getting ready. And then I was like, weird. It's kind of dark outside. That's not right. Looked at the time and I was like, oh my God, it's 3:45.
I did the same thing 2 hours later.
I was just like, what the hell? And then I was like, no, you will go back to sleep. I laid in bed and just tossed, turned, got a calf cramp and went, well, that's the sign for the universe. Get the fuck out of bed, Sarah. Yeah.
Let's go to bed at 9, though.
I know, involuntarily.
Couch or bed?
I passed out while reading to my child.
I feel like this chair is... I sat outside on a lawn chair and it was wet. And I feel like,
you're not going to change your pants? I could never sit in wet clothing.
No, it dried out right away, but it just feels...
I would know it was there because your underwear sticks to your butt just a little bit more.
Oh, it wasn't that wet, but it was like a little damp.
Oh.
It's just a little weird.
I'm that person who can't handle wet socks, mildly damp socks. I can't handle any of that shit on my body. It's got to come right off.
I was outside for a bit, so it dried a bit. It was a little windy, so...
It was little. That's an understatement. I don't know what is going on right now, but it is a blustery day.
But it has been a blustery day for a week, and I feel like today hasn't been that bad.
Oh, it was really bad the other week where my lawn chair cushions, I guess you would call them, they flew off and went all inside the little staircase cave that goes down to the outside back door. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there, I'm like, do, and I always check my telesecurity camera, and I look because our friend has a cat and they live next door. Actually, a couple of people have cats in our complex, and there's this coyote that keeps coming, so I like to give them a heads up. The coyote was here again, and I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm like, wait a second, zoom in on the thing. I'm like, oh my God, all the cushions are in the thing, which means that they're blocking the outside hole that drains stuff. So if they didn't get moved and stopped absorbing, could flood my laundry room. So, we got this.
My survive is I have this random bruise on my elbow. You see it? The fuck? Yeah. I don't know where it came from, but I keep on everything now.
Oh, it's because you know it's there.
And my thrive is I got a quarter zip lazy pants sweater from Costco for $12. It was a bargain.
Bargain.
I love a quarter zip. It's really the little thing.
I love a quarter zip in some cases. It has to be really oversized. If not, I feel naked without a hood. And it's always the time that I choose to not wear a hood that it chooses to rain or get windy, and I have nothing to just quickly put on to protect my face.
See, and I've just gotten to the point that I just accepted that my face is going to get wet. And I don't care.
It's just so annoying with glasses.
I know. And they never clean properly.
No.
So, Sarah, how many concussions have you had?
Documented? I've had one.
No, how many you believe you've had?
How many do I believe I've had? Possibly 2. But who knows? I mean, I'm very clumsy and had took a lot of hits when I was younger. Yeah.
I think I've had about 6 or 7.
You've had several, yeah.
I've had a lot.
Yeah.
I hit my head a lot.
I didn't even know what the fuck a concussion was, I think, until you got one.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was, like, something that only sports athletes got. Like, they'd be like, oh, and he's knocked out. His arms are straight up in the air and whatever. Like, when you're watching a game and you're like, oh, my God, there it goes on the gurney. Holy crap.
He's out.
Yeah.
What were your 2 experiences with your 2 concussions?
Well, car accidents. Yeah. The one that is, like, the worst is the one that I got when I was in the accident with our dad. It was so bad to the point that I thought I was speaking completely fine, and I speak really fast. And we were at the hospital, and our aunt came to pick me up because our dad had to stay in longer. And I was talking to her, and she just, like, burst out crying. And I was like, is there some... And I was, like, touching my face. It was after they'd already checked me over. I was off the board. Like, I'd been there for a couple hours. And I was, like, touching my face, like, oh, my God, am I bleeding? Is there something wrong with me? And she goes, I don't know what you're trying to say to me right now, but you're not making any sense. And you're speaking really slow. And I was like, what? Like, I just, like, looked at her. And then, yeah, it's just shitty. That's, like, literally what I remember. Is just, like, our aunt just bursting out crying. And I was like, oh, my God, what's the matter with you? You good? You good?
And then your other one just...
I don't know. I feel like I've had another one. Like, I've hit my head a couple times. So I feel like I've probably had I probably have more, let's be totally honest. But it's just like when you get the nausea, you get the headache. And then I really noticed that, like, even after I had my first one, that was, like, really bad. Is I got, like, I used to get, like, minor headaches here and there, generally due to large coffee consumption and 0 water consumption. Or forgetting to eat. Like, very simple things where your body's like, do the thing. Hello. But as soon as I had that car accident with our dad, like, it was... I started to get a headache, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, my God, I'm throwing up. I can't be in the light. I can't be in this. And someone's like, you have a migraine. And I was like, the fuck is this? Like, our dad had migraines. But he was just like, oh, it just hurts so bad. And, like, I really had to, like, look it up to kind of figure it out. But then when it comes to, like, large weather shifts and stuff like that, and, like, the spring or any barometric pressure things, stuff like that, I can't talk. I just find that I'm just, it's like someone's sitting on your head and you have no neck. You're just like, ow. And I get this right behind my ear underneath. I get this, like, it feels like a bulgy bone thing that, I don't know, I've had it since the accident. And I swear it sticks out more when I have the beginnings of one. And it's almost like I call it my migraine button. Because it just hurts so bad. Yeah. What about you? What's your most memorable one? Lacking of memory, but you know.
I don't remember. I would say, like, I remember the last 3 the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My one was when I was 13, and I was getting my friend's homework from her locker, and a frame that was on above the lockers fell off and hit me in the head. I got glass in my head, which is not fun.
No.
It's only like a little piece. Not fun. I'd say, like, my worst one for continuous effects would be the one that I had when I was 16.
Yeah.
And I was in gym class, and I got hit in the back of the head while playing cricket. Not with an actual cricket ball, because I've been dead. And I went deaf for 6 hours, and then I never fully got my hearing back in my right ear.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of nauseous. I had, like, a welt on the back of my head. It was not comfortable. I had a lot of athletes in my gym class. And that then stemmed to me having to go to, like, the audiologist and all of those lovely things. And I'm like, I am 16. I am not 82. Why am I here?
Oh, yeah.
So I currently have, from what I remember, I have 70 or 80% hearing in my left ear, and I have 45% in my right ear.
Yeah.
So anytime that I've used headphones and the right ear is gone, didn't notice.
Bear in point, Is that a saying? Anyways, bear in mind.
Yeah.
I really wanted to try AirPods for a job that I had that was remote. And Eve was like, here's my old set. I just got new ones.
No, I bought the new ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then you were just like, hey. And I put them in the ears and I was just like, one of them isn't working. She goes, nah, well.
I was like, is it the right one?
Yeah. And it was, that's actually super easy to clean. You just need a little bit of rubbing alcohol and you have to do the grossest thing in the whole world. For a lot of them, it's the netting has clicked in. You have to put your mouth over top of it and basically just suck in and make it pop back out again. So you clean it really well before you do that.
Yeah. And then my other one would be the most recent, which I think I was 21, 22. I think it was 21.
I think so.
And we were moving patio furniture outside, and we hit the side of the pergola, and a metal object fell on my head.
A heavy metal object.
Fell on my head. And the kind of funny thing, though, afterwards, is there was wasps in it, and I got attacked by wasps after I got hit in the head. So yeah, I really felt like I was in a Looney Tunes commercial.
I was about to say, it sounded like a Looney Tunes scenario.
I saw all of the stars, and I just remember I looked at our mom and I said, I'm going inside. And I went inside and I laid down, and Mom was like, you tried me? Like, I left it in the doorway, and I was like, and then I went inside. And so that one sparked, that was the first one that I had really bad, like, speech afterwards.
Yeah.
Most of them I just had, like, was nauseous, had a headache, and was, like, irritable. But that was the first one that I had that I was like, oh, I can't speak properly. And then that started, I think, the collection of them. Because basically what I found with concussions is once you've had one and you just have a couple more, they're just progressively worse.
Yeah, it's almost like you get them. Like, I don't know if it's because you're more conscious of them happening, but it's like, isn't it easier after you have one to actually get another one? And it's not specifically about the scenario.
I think your brain, it also depends how long it's been in between and how bad.
Yeah.
It's almost like getting a bruise on top of a bruise. So it's like you sort it out. Like, I had already accepted. I was like, I'm not getting my hearing back. That's fine. I'll deal with it. And then, that one, I had some more speech issues and, like, delay, which was not fun for a while. Yeah. And then that also in tune sparked migraines, which I learned, apparently I'd had a couple in the past. I just was like, I don't think it's a migraine. I think it's just a bad headache. And then my first bad migraine was April of 2022. And I didn't know what was happening. I literally, my mom was like, are you okay? And I was like, I keep on trying to do things and I can't do them. And it's like, I couldn't get started on anything. And then I just sat there and I was annoyed. And she was like, just go lay down in the dark. I'll get you like an ice pack. We'll see if you feel better. And it lasted like, I think 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. And I was just more annoyed that I couldn't get anything done. Like, I stared at the washing machine for a solid 10 minutes and I was like, how does this work?
It's funny because it impedes on stuff like that. So it takes you a couple extra minutes to like figure stuff out. Like, I can even notice consciously when, like, right after, obviously there's like those things, but like that I was different after I had it. Like, my brain worked different because I would go to do something and it would almost be like, pause, resume. Like,
I feel like it wasn't even, for me, like, it wasn't even pausing. It was just like, I couldn't locate the information that I needed. And I was like, okay, I need laundry done. I need to do my laundry. Okay, I'm going to bring the clothes in. And I'd read the words, but I was like, nothing was absorbing. And I was like, I feel like it should be a lot easier than it is. And I'm like, I don't have any. And then I'd be annoyed because I'm like, I don't have a difficult washer. There's not many settings.
Yeah.
Why can't I figure it out? And then I was like, I'm just going to go lay back down.
Yeah, I'm just going to lay down. I like my telltale signs about getting a migraine is like I'm dropping stuff. I'm pausing before I do things.
I was like, you drop stuff all the time.
I know, but no, it's like really bad. It's like, when you're just walking and it's like your hand just like releases.
Yeah.
Or your leg, like you're going up the stairs and all of a sudden your body's like, you're right, like doesn't work. And you're,
You're just booking it up.
just those things that you're sitting there and you're trying to figure it out. Like the common things that you do on a daily basis suddenly become hard. And I will literally just like look at my husband, and my husband goes, when you look at me when we're driving home, and I'm like, oh God, I can smell that exhaust. A couple times he's like, dear God, is she having a seizure? Because like, I'm like, no, that diesel, oh, it smells so bad. Oh, it's giving me a headache. He's like, I'm pretty sure you already had one coming on, but everything else just became so overwhelming. And I just look at him and I go, good day. And he's now learned that I'm like, I go in, I take that migraine Tylenol that you can get. If I'm not too nauseous, I will chug water. I will get one of those eye mask things and cover my eyes, make sure all the curtains are covered, and I'm usually ice cold and sweating. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. And then I will literally pile blankets on top of myself, sometimes on top of my head. And then my husband's just like, okay, mommy is out for the night.
I find that it usually starts off with like my lips go numb.
I get upper lip.
Oh, I just don't feel them. And then I have like, it's like almost staticky, and then it'll go into like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then my depth perception's really weird. And I'm like, this is odd. I think the frustrating thing for me is, for the most part, I don't know when it's happening. Like, I don't know when it's starting.
Yeah.
Because I'll feel pain everywhere all the time, but like my brain will just be like, okay, we're shutting down. I'm like, this is so weird. I don't know what's going on. I need to go home and I need to go lay down.
Oh, yeah. And I think a common thing that like people need to remember, not even just about migraines, like you can go to sleep with migraines, but they also changed the whole thing with concussions.
Oh my God.
Okay, you no longer need to like smack and keep the person awake. Like, in fact, it was proving to be like actually detrimental, because obviously like your brain needs sleep to work and to heal. And they proved quite quickly that you do not need to keep a person awake, which is lovely.
Well, it is great. I'm a huge fan of that. My most common things that I like to use though for my migraines is I have a migraine cap, and it's great. I stick it in the freezer and it has a ponytail hole, and it is like a compression gel cap that you can put on your head, and it's great. It like when it first starts. I do recommend, though, maybe putting it in a part of your freezer so it doesn't smell like freezer. Because sometimes when you put it on, you're like, frozen bread.
Do you know that's not a thing for a lot of people?
That people can't smell freezer?
Yeah, freezer, or like, it smells like fridge. People, like, it smells like wind.
How do you not smell the wind?
I don't understand how people don't smell the wind either.
The wind has a smell.
It does.
So I have my migraine cap, and then I recently got an eye massager too, so I have that.
Easy.
So I put the migraine cap on, then I put the eyes massager on, and then I usually put a like ice pack on my neck, and then I blare usually.
Oh, I'll do earplugs, because every noise irritates me. I will, I do, like what I said, I just bought an eye massager and I haven't tried it out yet, so I'm super stoked for that. And I usually have like an ice pack or something. Have you tried that thing where you put your feet in like super hot water and then put the ice pack on the back of your neck?
It doesn't.
It has done nothing for me, and I'm really sad about that.
So sometimes I'll put a foot massager on if it's after work. I have all the massages.
Yes.
I'm like, I got my foot one, I got my eye mask. I don't find that it helps. I find that, like, I'm already really warm. Mm-hmm. And I find that when you do that, if it helps people, great. It does not do anything.
No, and that, like, some things work for some people, just like how people have different reactions and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of common symptoms after you have a concussion. Migraines, like we said, headaches, stuff like that. Irritability is a big one. Emotional regulation was another one.
Light sensitivity.
Oh, being able to sleep. Like some people actually get, like they're completely unable to sleep. Yeah, I was trying to think of the word. And then some people just, all they want to do is sleep. And that's the big thing, right? Is you have to kind of, obviously, like, if you feel that you have a concussion or you're in something, like, go see a freaking doctor. Don't just, like, go on the internet and Google things. They will all say cancer. Let's just
You have a tumor.
It's always you have a tumor, not that you hit your head and give yourself a concussion. By the way, I looked it up. It is easier to get a concussion once you have one because your brain has already had that trauma.
A bruise on bruise.
A bruise on bruise.
Just like, I couldn't remember if it was a concussion thing or if it was a sprain thing. So both of them are pretty much alike.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the weird things that I had a couple people point out to me is I don't remember some long-term things since I was in that car accident. Like, one of my friends will be like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, you know who, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. Did I know them? She'll be like, yeah, you talk to them almost every single day and you sat beside them in a class, like in high school or something. Or do you remember this person? We worked with them and you helped train them. And I'm like, oh, was it for a short time? No, it's for 4 years.
I find too that, like, a lot of things when people ask me about my childhood, I'm like, that was a long time ago. I think that was 17 years ago.
That's usually what I say. I was like, oh, it was so long ago. But other people, like, other people remember this stuff. But then I've had people who, like, come up to me, and my husband and I went to high school together, so he's really great. Like, they'll be like, oh my God, hi, how are you? Because I look very similar to what I did in high school. And they'll be like talking to me. I'm like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, oh, you, like, we were at like a friend's event thing, and someone's brother came in, and I was just like, oh, weird. I'm like, so funny. That guy's so nice. And my husband just looks me straight in the face and goes, no, that's right. Like, you used to, like, talk to him all the time. Like, you're in a ton of things with him. And I was just like, oh yeah. And he goes, you don't remember him at all, do you? I'm like, unfortunately, I do not. And, like, other people would show up and I'd be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know who you are. And they're like, oh, like, what'd you do? Bash your head or something? And I'm like, yes. I had, our dad would lovingly call it, I was Dory. Like, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'd be like, where's the thing?
I think I don't, like, my memory, I don't find as super poor. Someone asked me something from, like, when I was a kid, I'm like, this is almost 20 years ago. Why are you asking me?
I can remember certain things, but there's also, like, short term, or as like, some people like, put it all down to, like, ADHD. Like, I know where the thing is that's in the box. It's in the corner of the room. That's all the way over there because that's where I put it.
And also, why is everybody remembering every single aspect of high school?
I don't know, because in my opinion, if high school is the peak and exciting experience of your life, then you should experience more of life. There's lots of things. Yeah. Like, there's lots of things outside of it. I never saw high school as, like, this pivotal, influential time in my life. I honestly don't feel like any time has been, like, the end all be all. I feel like that's the best it's ever gonna get.
I also feel like whenever someone's like, every year, like, oh, this is gonna be the best year ever, and you're like, why?
Well, and that's the whole thing, is like, why would you want that to be your best year? Why wouldn't you want every year just to be great?
I'd like a solid subpar year.
Yeah, like, but what everybody needs to remember is, just because you say it's going to be the best year of your life does not mean that it may, like, things might happen that you would never think.
I think the universe was like, okay, she said it.
Yeah.
That is how it is.
Okay, and she elected for the shit show to begin. Like, that's the whole thing, is I'd rather keep a positive perspective on, I really hope this year's great. I'm real excited about this year. And then random shit happens. I'm not like, this is the worst year of my life. Like, how many people who were like, January 30th, this is the worst year of my life?
No. January 7th.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, this is the worst year of my life. It's been 7 days.
It's been 7
What
days.
is going on in 7 days?
Like, well, it's like, oh, my boyfriend left me. Well, maybe he was a piece of shit, and you're going to realize it now. Like,
I find too, like,
but stop blaming the year.
what did the year do to you?
Stop blaming the year. Stop blaming the universe. Shit happens. Move on.
Yeah. But I find that, when people are like, oh, use, like, those different apps that do, like, meditation and it can help with, like, your symptoms. Like, there is a lot of, like, concussion therapy you can go to now. And, you can get, like, prism glasses. Like, I have glasses because my eyes don't. My prescription is, like, a slightly off in every direction. So much so that when Sarah and I went to Costco, because we both decided that we were going to get transition lessons.
We were going to reach our old lady status.
We were so hyped because we both had our glasses. I was informed that my prescription was so all over the place that I couldn't get transitions. And Sarah didn't listen to me and still was asking me questions. And she's like, what color do you think I should get? And I'm like,
what do you think? The darkest one or this color? And I had no idea.
Oh my God. And the lady was like, she your sister? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, she not hear you at all? I'm like, no. I'm like, Sarah, I can't get them. And you were like, what? What? Well, why don't you get a different color? And he's like, no, the prescription's too messed up.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing too, is like when it comes to the weird like things that happen to your body. I went to a neurologist after having that big concussion, and they looked at my eyes and he goes, and pulls out this like ruler, this like measuring tape, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? My eyes too close together? Like, he looks at my pupils and he goes, your one pupil is a couple millimeters bigger than the other one. And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, that means, my dear, that you have had a major concussion, aka head trauma. And I was just like, oh, okay. And he goes, oh, do you find like you get headaches and stuff like this? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that's why. Because one is like, and the other one's like, eh. And I'm like, oh, okay. Go through life. And then I started doing a lot of work where you're staring at computer screens. I mean, like most people, that's their job. And I would have like reading glasses here and there, but they would just be like, oh yeah, you need reading glasses. Like they wouldn't speak to anything when it comes to like the way my eyes focused or anything. It was just like, you need glasses. I'm like, okay, well, a bunch of people have glasses in our family. It makes sense. I'm like, I'm just getting there. And meanwhile, the first time I got glasses, I think I was like 20 years old. But yeah. And I went to the optometrist after not having them for a while. And it was a new one. And he goes, I'm like, what? And he goes, so your vision is perfect. I was like, okay. And he goes, now I'm going to tell you that you need glasses. And I'm going to make sure that I don't sound like a skeezy car salesman because it's true. He goes, Miss Sarah, your eyes vibrate. And I was like, what? He goes, your eyes vibrate. This can be one of two things. It can be both things or just be one. I was like, okay. He goes, have you had any major concussions in your life? I'm like, sure have. He goes, okay. So your eyes are trying to do their thing, but they need something to help them hold still. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, what's the other thing? And he goes, oh, do you have ADHD? And at this time I was like, nope. He goes, oh, that's the other thing. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I got the glasses. And then I have had migraines, but not as frequently. Like I was getting them once to twice a month. Like it was becoming unbearable. And it was always on a fucking Friday or like a Saturday. And you've got like all these plans and you're like, please excuse me while I go die in my cave. Hey everyone, this is Sarah from Bird Perfectionist as you are listening to us. As you know, we do have Overwhelm the Label where we're providing comfy clothing, hoodies, t-shirts, and all that other fun stuff for all our neurodivergent folks with fun designs that are a blend of things that we enjoy and celebrating diversity. Since you are listening today, and if you're located in Canada, here's what you need to do. If you go to our website, which is overwhelmthelabel.com, enter the following code, all capital letters, listener 10, and you will get 10% off your first order. There's no minimum purchase required, and we now have a flat rate shipping of $10.95. So come on over to overwhelmthelabel.com or .ca as long as you are in Canada And we will set you up with some comfy essentials. Have a warped and twisted day.
And he looked at me and said, have you had a concussion? And I was like, yes. And he goes, have you had a concussion in the past year? And I was like, yes. And he goes, I have to dilate your pupils.
And what is that process?
It's like basically they put little drops in your eyes and you go blind. So they can dilate your pupils and see your pupils go big and how they react to light, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it. Sat in the waiting room. I was like, oh, went back. I did not get a ride to said appointment.
Because you were unaware of the eye drop situation.
Because I was told that I didn't need them. So I went in and I was about to leave, and Sarah at the time had an appointment an hour later, or an hour and a half later, and I went blind. And I had to walk home blind because nobody was there to get me. It was very dangerous. Nothing I could add back.
I know.
And Sarah was like, I have to leave early. And I was like, I'm blind.
And I was just like, oh, thinking that she's kidding. Like,
no.
I was thinking that you were like, I'm blind. I'm like, oh, so well, she's going to be picking out new glasses. And I had some other appointment to go to. I don't know what
it
the fuck it was. It was a dentist appointment, yeah.
And I was blind going home.
I know when I broke my tooth.
So you broke your tooth and you literally did. I was so mad at you for this because I was so blind.
Yeah.
It was bright white because it was snowing.
Yeah.
And my appointment was at 10:15 and your appointment was at 12:45. And my appointment ended up going a little bit longer. And so I left at 11:30, 11:45. And we were like, I left early because Ben got off. And I was like, Sarah, I'm blind. I genuinely can't see it. I'm trying to walk up. And you're like, I have to go to the dentist. I hung up and I'm like, fuck. So I called her mother while she was at work. And I was like, hey, Mom, I'm just going to talk to you on the way home. And she was like, why? And I'm like, we're dilating my pupils and I can't see anything. And she's like, you're walking home? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I can hear cars. And she goes, you're half deaf. I'm like,
you're half deaf and now you're blind. Jesus, we should just call you lucky.
So her coworker's in the back going, do you need to go get her? And I'm like, it's okay. I walk in. I am so blessed for our air fryer. I walk in. First thing our younger brother says is, I want lunch.
Yeah.
I can't see.
Yeah.
Anything. So I'm like, okay. So I go into the freezer. I try to find mini pizzas. I don't know what level I put those mini pizzas on, but I stuck them in the air fryer and prayed to Jesus that I'd get my sight back before they were done. Did not get my sight back. I think our brother had like dinosaur pizza. I don't know what I cut out. I think I just threw it on a plate and said, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
See, I don't trust myself with a knife.
Here's food.
And then they were like, do you need glasses? And I was like, yeah, still blind.
Yeah. Totally not coming back right now.
So I'm a little bit off at all of them. I have found that my eyes aren't as tired at the end of the day, and I don't get as many like headaches.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think it's just mainly, they were like, you need to go to like vision therapy for your concussions, and it's basically where they help try to stabilize your eyes and like do a bunch of things with concussions. And I was supposed to call at the beginning of last year and I forgot, and I just realized now supposed to call. They were like, yeah, we could totally book you. I can have a referral. I have to go back at the end of this year, so
you get that therapy. Nope, totally forgot.
But also, like, a lot of the therapy, you had to do it for, like, 2 or 3 hours and then, like, lay down afterwards. And I was like, I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, but also, who wants to do that on, like, a day off? You're like, oh, maybe I'll do this another time. And then this happens where you're randomly talking about it and then you're like, well, shit.
They did call me multiple times. So, yeah, but and I was like, I was transitioning to a different job. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't know what my schedule is. I will call in the new year.
Yeah.
And they called me in the new year and they were like, did you forget? And I was like, yeah, but I think I'm fine now. But yeah, I feel like, though, with concussions, there's so many different, like, avenues that it could go.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely don't have, like, a TBI.
A traumatic brain injury?
Yeah, I don't have a TBI. I just think my brain's been knocked around quite a bit.
And now I just imagine my brain like inside my head.
I think that's why, like, I prefer to, like, write things down instead of, like, Sarah likes to, like, type them out on the computer and then send them to me in a note, and then I'll just write them out.
Well, I do both. Like, it depends on how I always say it depends on how my brain feels. So if I feel, like, completely overwhelmed, I will sit and write everything out on paper and then organize it. And then sometimes I'll put it in the notes on my phone, and sometimes I won't.
Well, I'm like, I love a paper. And it's just like, I think because online, when you make something, it looks clean.
So, well, that's the whole thing. And then sometimes I'm just like, I start doing it and I'm like, oh, it's not nice enough. And I start throwing away. Like, that's not the purpose. Just get it out of your brain. Brain time, Sarah. Brain time.
But that's pretty much my sum of concussions. I can't think of anything else.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was trying to think of other things. So there's different stuff that you can take all depending on what country that you're in. So in Canada, you can get like headache Tylenol, which is acetaminophen, and then it has caffeine in it to help with your brain. Other things that I've tried the black coffee thing. It does nothing for me. It just makes me poop.
Ginkgo biloba.
Ginkgo biloba. We went through this whole thing where we would just randomly sing Ginkgo biloba.
Because
it was just fun.
Sarah went through this phase when I was young.
I want to say I was like 25. I was like 25.
And you were trying like random like
supplements
and cleanses. I just think of that Dr. Oz.
Oh my God. No, the cleanses and stuff like that. It was because of like the team that I worked on at the job that I previously had. Somebody would be like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. I want to do this cleanse, or I want to do this. And I just like don't want to do it alone. And it was usually Tanya. And I was like, I'll do it with you. She's like, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, it wasn't like a diet thing. It was more just like trying to figure out, because I grew up in like the 90s and the early 2000s where there was like the land of eating disorders. It was like trying to figure out what actually is health and what actually would help. And it's like, actually, because no one at that time especially taught you how to eat. They only taught you what you weren't supposed to eat. Don't eat carbs. Don't eat after 7.
Don't eat sugar.
Don't eat sugar. Don't have caffeine. Only have aspartame. Aspartame was a big thing in the 90s. All those types of things. And it was like, don't have a black coffee. Replace it with a diet Coca-Cola.
But there was like a lot of like random, so then there'd be like the leftover vitamins.
Oh yeah.
And like the leftover random water things. Do you remember those? What were they called? You got these like things that you mix with water. There was like the protein powders, but then there was also like,
oh, I used that Visalis protein powder.
Yes.
Oh my God, it tasted like cake batter. It was so good. And for the longest time, it was non-dairy. So it was so great. And that's when I like first started figuring out that like a dairy was not my friend. And I was using that and it was so great. And then they changed their formula and they added dairy products back into it and a shit ton of soy. And I was like, I guess I gotta find something, because it actually blended really well. It made everything taste like a fucking milkshake. Like, it was so good.
But like, that's why ginkgo biloba. Alright.
I know. So there's like lots of different supplements and stuff like that people try. Some people try essential oils. Like you said, there's like cognitive therapy and all that other stuff.
Some people do crystals.
Yeah, some people do crystals. I mean,
meditation.
I know meditation. It's like, I don't know if anybody else has an Apple Watch, but you know when that thing goes off and it's like, I think it's time for you to take a moment to breathe. Usually at that time, I'm like, fuck you, watch. Or no, I do not want to do that.
Mine usually says, it's time for you to stand. I'm like, I'm already standing.
Oh, I know. I feel like mine doesn't detect me standing either.
That's probably just getting old.
Yeah.
But like those types of ones, some people find that certain foods set off their head.
Oh, yeah. Because that'll depend on, well, obviously, like chemistry and stuff like that. But some people are like, well, if I have a ton of sugar, I get a migraine. Or if I have this, I get a migraine. I'm like, my problem is I forget to eat. But that's usually just like a headache.
Yeah.
But I will leave on this final note of, you are not alone if you get the migraine shits.
Oh, God. Or the migraine constipation.
Right? There's like an aftershock effect. I think of a migraine as an earthquake in your body. And the aftershock is sometimes you're a little extra slow the next day and you're kind of looking at everybody like, what? And you're almost a little numb. It's like, I don't know, I call it numb or floaty. Like you're just kind of like going along. Sometimes you don't make the most sense after having one. And yeah, sometimes you're just literally shitting your brains out, to be totally honest. Or constipated.
All of the above.
Yes. Which there's nothing worse than having a migraine and having your period. And with that, stay as warped and twisted as ever. Peace. Thank you so much for listening to us on YouTube. You can find us on all of the socials: Instagram, Pinterest,
TikTok,
Facebook,
Snapchat,
yes. And we also started a Discord, and we're on Reddit. But you know, those ones we can only do so many things so many times, people.
Yeah. As you can tell by the list of are we here. But if you're more of a just an audio type person, we're on Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. I think we're on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and you can also check us out on the RSS feed.
Oh yeah,
which we also found out has its own website, which is pretty sick.
It is pretty sick. Well, thank you so much for listening, and feel free to go re-listen to some of the episodes that we have.